going on with the ire? Welcome back to Insurance Icons. I'm your host, Peter Reichter, and this is the show where we go and dive real deep into the icons that made this industry the biggest and best place to make a shitload of money. Today, we are with one of my favorite icons, someone that's just absolutely crushing the insurance media all over the place, and a dear friend of mine as well. That he's an SGA and owner out of Arias Dlabik in Chicago with Globe Life. My buddy Tristan Dlabik. How you doing today, Tristan?
Doing good, man. How are you?
Excellent, excellent. So what's going on with the ire?
Oh, yeah. I got eye poked at jiu-jitsu literally 48, 60 hours ago. Just absolutely gouged this. I'm imagining this amateur or just guy that I would say amateur in regard to experience of my familiarity with rolling with this dude. Not a lot of familiarity and didn't really, catch his style. And I definitely felt the vibe was off, and I ended up shooting him for a single and just catching a finger to the absolute back of my cranium. So pretty bad eye poke. Took a small chunk out of the eye, so now I'm on antibiotic into the eye directly. Ointment is so weird into the eye for four times a day.
Worst. The pasty one?
Yeah, it's weird.
Oh my God, that is the worst, absolute worst type of medicine to put in. It's worse. That's worse than the peanut butter shot, bro. So yeah, man, oh yeah, that's what you got. All right, well, hey, it's looking cool, bro. And if you have to do any type of extra work as a pirate, you're already set to go. We could hit you. We could hit up Pirates of the Caribbean 5, see if you can get you on there. Meet Johnny Depp, do a pod with him.
Yeah.
So, my man Tristan, tell me, crazy weekend this weekend, right? You hit me up on Friday, I think, and you're like, "Hey, Pete, I'm out here in Vegas, and I'm hanging out with I'm hanging out with Bob Menery. I'm about to link up with Dana White, and obviously I flew down. But tell our audience a little bit about that weekend. What was it like for you? Your 6th year in insurance.
Yeah, it was really weird, man. You know what I mean? So I've always been a pretty decent, I guess, networker, but I'm more so just open to like relationships with cool people. And so I met a entrepreneur probably 2 years ago in Chicago named John Sarasani. He was hosting a networking event, just like a get together event type deal in Vegas. It was cheap, so I took advantage of the opportunity. Bob was there in the room, and I went up to him. I was like, "Hey, man, I'd love to do a podcast with you." He's like, "I only do podcasts right on the spot." I was like, "Perfect, I'm ready to go. Let me know." And we ended up a couple hours later recording a podcast at 2 a.m. One of 2.5, 3, and gave us the ability to put some stuff out there. And was stuck by his side for the weekend, and he introduced us to Dana White, hit it off, and got an invite-only type of event that Dana White extended an opportunity for us to take advantage of. And, unfortunately, I won't be able to attend as a franchise owner. I got some other obligations, or it's like, what are the odds of that happening? But I'm going to send AK Media out there, including yourself, to represent and go build those relationships, man, and do something that's never been done before in our company and just capitalize on the opportunity. So it's been sick, man. It's been really, really sweet from making 7 figures since I was 22. I'm 25 now, so made a couple $1 million over the last 2-3 years. Haven't made less than $100,000 a year since I was fresh out of high school, and I have like no degree, no credibility, nothing that says like I should be doing as well as I am doing.
It's incredible, bro. I've been working with you for a while now, and I would have to say this last year, bro, has been just absolutely insane, man. I mean, when I think of the connections that you've brought into my life, and just a little bit of experience I've been able to get from rubbing shoulders with, what I would consider to be some pretty high up influencers, and even celebrities like Bob Menery, Bryce Mitchell.
Yeah.
Right? Things are getting crazy, and I think they're about to get a lot crazier. Yeah. What do you think really is your strategy right now in marketing?
Yeah, my strategy is to throw everything. You know what I mean? Spend everything, do everything. Like a lot of people have like metrics, and I was being asked today earlier a question in regard to like what's your calendar, or what's your a similar question in regard to like strategy for me putting out content. I'm like, bro, like if you go into the gym and you're one of those individuals where it's like I got to do 10 push-ups, or I got to do 100, I don't know, cycles of this or that or whatever. It's like some type of number in your head. I feel like you've already lost when there's somebody going in there with the mindset of, I'm going to do as many as possible. I'm going to take advantage of every opportunity. I'm going to do I'm going to go until I can't go anymore, until I exhaust myself. There's no way you compete with that person because they're not counting the reps. They're just exhausting themselves, knowing that if they spend as much resource, energy, time, whatever it is, focused at this one thing, they're going to get it done. You know what I mean? So that's like, there's no like actual strategy outside of like outdo every single person out there and keep outdoing everybody, even when I do break the code. I'm already breaking the code. I've already broken the code, and I'm going to just inevitably be able to monetize on this as well. And people are going to start paying me tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars to go over media, buy the recruiting and all the ad space and things I'm inevitably going to create from this passion and focus. And, and they're going to want to know how, and it's going to be this, you know what I mean? They're going to pay me $100,000 for them to tell them like, bro, you need to spend 4 years absolutely like unwavering dedication to putting up as much content, doing some borderline risky things every single day. And then if you still want to keep scaling it, double down. And you won't be able to double down maybe on, maybe actual like energy and reps put into it, but you'll be able to double down on your spending. And that's one thing you've seen me do is I'll spend, you know what I mean? So it's like, do I spend as much as I want? No, but I spend as much as I can. You know what I mean? So it's like, I don't spend as much as I want. I always tell everybody, like, I want to spend $1 million a month minimum on social media. And it's like, why? Because I do look at some of the numbers and some of the data, and it just makes sense. It's like the people that are really doing it, they really spend it. You know what I mean? And it's like there might be a few individuals out there that, like maybe do really well and they don't spend much, but it's like most of them, like they give me a loser type of vibe. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to come in here and like, well, I did this and I manipulated that and I put this into ads and I maxed out this ROI. It's like, I'm in it for the legacy. You know what I mean? So it's like, some people are in it for the profit, the money, and different things like that. Like I really am in it for the legacy, man. I want to be one of the greatest.
Love that about you, brother. That's why I keep you close to me, is because that mindset you got, it's contagious. So let's talk a little bit about collaborations, bro. You've been having some great collabs lately, right? Bryce Mitchell, Bob Menery, about to have a collab with Johnny Dang, right? So right now
Yeah,
it looks like things are
Brennan
really
Schaub.
heating up. What do you think is what is the impact that these collaborations have had on your podcast and on your media? And what are some of the collaborations that you're really looking forward to hitting soon?
I'm following up with Johnny Dang right now. I hit up Kevin Dang and the Dangs. I'm going to start to implement a chain program into my company, and essentially everybody that does $5 million, their first $5 million in production in a fiscal year, is going to be given a company chain, and it'll be dope and a little bigger than this, and it'll have a AK pennant on there, and they can flip it. I don't care. You know what I mean? If it's a $40,000, $50,000, even a 25, I'm going to probably try to keep it between like $25,000 to $50,000. And if they want to flip it and get the cash, that's great. I'd probably ask them first before I even spend it. I don't know. Be like, hey, are you cool with getting this chain? And they're like, no, just give me the money. I'll just give you the money. I don't care. But that's a program that we're going to institute, and that's going to come through the relationship I'm building with Johnny Dang, which you spotted Kevin Dang on the elevator. So shout out to you on that. And I think really, man, I just like to build with genuine people. So like, even despite the notoriety and the fame that you have, it's like, if you're a cool, genuine person, I like building relationships with people that don't judge, because I remember just being like, that's one of my passions as an entrepreneur, just as a human being, is everything that's really irritated me and rubbed me wrong in life, from being looked down upon for being poor, the food stamp lines, the food stamps and the food bank lines, and just growing up below American standard, growing up below American like mediocrity. Like we were below mediocre. You know what I mean? So it's like all those people that looked down on me, and then even getting into business, the people that like doubted me and made fun of me and said I'd never be able to make it or anything like that, or even now like the people that judge or make accusations or assumptions based off of me or my past or people that are associated with me, like every little thing like that, it just adds up and it compounds inside of me, and it motivates me to just absolutely prove those people wrong, but simultaneously create a space where you can come here into my company and know that it's gonna be a judgment-free zone. I love working with the kids that were poor. I love working with the kids that were picked on. I love working with the fatherless kids. I love working with the people that are just truly underdogs. And I really mean that. And I think a lot of these rich people, they forget they were underdogs at times. And so like when the opportunity comes to extend it to that poor kid that's just begging for a chance and an opportunity, I always want to be the one that says yes and really mean it, really live it, and make you feel genuine about it. And that was the vibe from Bob. And I feel like a lot of it's inevitably we're going to beat a lot of people by doing that because there's a lot of stuck up, not even that rich type of people. You know what I mean? Making a couple $1 million. It's like, and thinking they're like God or something. And it's like, there's so much money to be made out there, bro. And it's like, I don't know, like I'm really passionate. That really burns inside of me of like a real big motivator for me, is just proving people wrong and creating that space. And we're slowly but surely creating that culture where it's like, and this is, you know what I mean? I want to be known as like Peter Pan, you know what I mean? And the Lost Boys, he would just like, I
There you
looked at
are,
it like
Peter.
this, like
You're looking a little bit
Neverland.
more like Hook right now, dude.
I know, but Neverland for me was like growing up. It's like that's where like all like the kids that got picked on and were like poor and like got made fun of and everything. Like, and he's like, come and rescue you, save those kids, and we're just gonna go be young forever and go get this money and go fly around, fight pirates, and you know what I
And
mean?
he
Like
had the
we'll
best
take
name ever.
anybody, and it's like I'm trying to rescue people from that stupid political grow up type of world of like you got to do what I say, how I say it, and you can't be, you can't be a loser, and this is that. You know what I mean? It's like I like working with the losers, the unsuspected, the individuals you look at you would never expect to come in and just absolutely knock you out, rock your stuff, come into your village and just take everything type mindset. So that is that's the motivation, that's the vibe, that's the collaborations, that's the connections, that's me, that's the vision, that's where we're headed, that's where I'm at right now. So that's everything.
Let's go, baby. Yo, so tell me a little bit about this story. Patrick Bet David, bro, he's somebody that we really look after in the
Yeah.
insurance space as an insurance icon. I can only wait until the day he comes on to my show and spends some time with us and talks about how he was the iconic career that he's had in the space, right? But with that, I saw a little clip on your story of Bob Menery on FaceTime with you right next to him talking to Patrick Bet David. Tell me about that story. Tell me how that all originated, all the details, and how it all came to fruition.
Yeah, so I think we were in the middle of like doing another pod with Bob, and I was just talking about him making connections and things like that. And I think he was playing slots, and he owed me 2 bands, and I bet him 500 of it off my what he owed me. I was like $500. You can't connect me with Patrick Bet David. He said deal, and a couple hours later, he was on FaceTime with Patrick Bet David. So I think he's still in the process of like actually making the connection, but just for the simple fact he was able, like, he didn't even know him, and he showed proof like he did not know him, didn't have any connections, had to go on his story, post, set it up, and he had it set up, man. So I am excited to see where that all goes.
Yeah, that's pretty incredible, bro. So let's talk a little bit about the iconic side of you. So on this show, I like to showcase what I consider to be your most iconic trait that affords you to be able to be the icon in the insurance industry that you are, right? And what I've identified as what I would consider it, and I'm interested to hear what you would think, is that you have one of the most just loyal mindsets to your people, especially to your leaders too, for sure. You're one of the greatest students, and I think it all really comes down to your discipline and your loyalty. I feel like you're so disciplined that you're taking notes every chance you get. You've always been one of the ultimate students, and I think that allowed you with that discipline, paired up with that student mentality and that loyalty to the right people. I think it's really what was one of the biggest things that's made you so special. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's a nicer way to put it. I just kind of look at it from all the reverse angles of like, I read a lot of John Maxwell, and he always says people hurt enough eventually that they desire to change, and people learn enough eventually that they desire to change. And so for me, it's always been the hurt. Like I'm just so loyal to really good people, like die for really good people, like Simon, my mentor and business partner, and obviously my family and even individuals like you, when people question like, why do you still stick with Peter? And I'm like, man, he's just below, some of the things that we all have hiccups in life. Like you gotta see there's a good being in there, and I see a lot of resemblance in myself and you, but also like my dad. So I got that connection there where I see a lot of similarities there. So, you know, man, when it comes to these things, I think I just hurt so bad from people leaving so much, and it wasn't necessarily my parents' fault, but both of them went to jail. So I've always had not necessarily trust issues, but like relationship issues in regard to people staying in my life. I've had like connection issues because the two most important people in my life disappeared essentially overnight for a long period of time. My mom was gone for 2 years. My dad was gone for 6 years and stayed out of my life pretty much after I was 10 years old, And so, man, and then my high school girlfriend, just having that first love, just a horrible breakup. I think every dude knows that and goes through that. So even the second where it's like, man, I just like, I'm not perfect, but I really try my best to do good by, you know, just the people that I really care about and really live it. I'm not a big talker on it. I love talking and things like that. But when it comes to action, if I love talking, my actions 1,000 times my words, and I really truly mean that. And I always tell people just test me on it. So like loyalty for me runs deep, but I would say the pain would be from being hurt so much growing up. That's really what it is. People think I'm just really loyal, but I was just really hurt, growing up, and life has just been put a lot of pain because there's been a lot of separation, So maybe I've just got separation issues, so it motivates me to be extremely loyal because I don't want to lose people. And then discipline, I would say I'm the laziest person in the world. So and you'd have to look. You got to look at things from multiple perspectives, and this is where intelligence really starts to seep in. Is on the surface level, yes, a lot of individuals are like, man, he's so the routine. He's so extremely disciplined. He doesn't miss. He's always taking notes and things like that. But now those are the positive sides of it. But what are the roots of the negativity per se, or the opposite side of the true motivator and the true? Well, again, let's reflect back to what did Maxwell say? Spurs change, or change is spurred from pain. You know what I mean? So now I've heard enough in my life from the areas that I wasn't controlling, that they led to inadequacy and poverty and infrequencies and just things that I did not desire. And so now I have so much pain in my mind that I think of from not being consistent in working out and hating the way I looked, and not being consistent in working and focusing on a craft or a skill set, and hating that I didn't take my football career further, or hating that I wasn't making the money that I could have potentially made at an even younger age. Like, why wasn't I a millionaire at 16? Why wasn't I a millionaire at 17 or 18? It's like, it's probably hard for people to fathom that, but it's possible and it's doable. And there's kids with YouTube channels reviewing toys making millions of dollars at 12 years old. So, putting things into perspective like that, where it's like, I just hurt so bad, and I reflect and think about the pain of what it was like not to be disciplined. I would choose the pain of discipline over lack of discipline. And I really just set my life up to make it appear as if I'm really disciplined. I just don't give myself opportunity to not be disciplined. Like, my living space just doesn't have carbs and desserts. It has fruits and meat and vegetables. So it's like, if I'm hungry, I have no choice but to eat healthy. If there were cupcakes here, I swear to God, I'd crush cupcakes all day. My living space is, for lack of better words, and if there's a bunch of people that sees this, very close to my workspace. Let's just say they're 60 seconds apart, hypothetically speaking. So with that being said, now when people have to drive hours to work and get ready and do all this, it's like, if it takes you 7 hours a week in total getting ready and travel time to work, I've just got 7 hours on you. Multiply that by 52 weeks, you figure I've got 350 plus hours on you in the year. You know what I mean? How many days is that? Is that a week? It's probably 2 weeks. I think there's 168 hours in a week. So it's like, now I've got 2.5 weeks on you in a year. You put that into 10 years. I'm a half year ahead of you. You know what I mean? You couldn't even try to beat me if you wanted to. So I just be sitting here and I'm beating you. So I try to set everything up where it's like, it's really convenient. And it's like, I love how convenient it is, because for me, a lot of people are fighting for the money. I'm fighting to abuse people. Like, when I compete, like, you need the money. You forget I grew up in a food bank line. You know what I mean? Come home, there's cabbage in the fridge. And the solution to everything was drink more water. So you like, for the people that I went 10 years like that, man. You know what I mean? So when people are like, yeah, they see me eat steak and wear Louis chains and, I spend this and spend that, but it's like, I've got no problem going back to mac and cheese and hot dogs. I crave it every day. You know what I mean? Just not to increase profit, just to look across the room at my competitor and see him get absolutely annihilated, destroyed, suffocate him, absorb his soul, and take his last name. You know what I mean? So, and I've probably got like issues from, just the way I was raised. Like, it was like, with my dad, from the small amount of time that I had with him, I'm pretty grateful, but I don't know, I'd be scared to do it with my son. But, as soon as my mom went to jail, my dad picked me up a couple months later. And, first thing he does, he hands me a Scarface video game, I think, in the car. And we're driving back to Arkansas. He's like, you play any video games, you play this. So I'm playing Scarface. I'm 8 years old. Every movie we watched, my dad loved movies. I think that's where I got it. But we pretty much watched the same 3 movies like over and over again. We watched Scarface, we watched 300, pretty much anything with war. And he was the type, and I'm like this as well. I don't know if there's terminology that would describe when you watch a movie that you almost embody the movie. Where it's like, when I watch something that really captures me, I become one with the movie. You know what I mean? So it's like, I've got to be very careful with the people when I'm watching something, like if I'm watching the UFC or I'm watching a movie, because like, if it is very violent, I start to almost act, you know what I mean, and adopt this mindset. And so anybody around me, like, I might just declare war on you, and we're watching a movie just because Leonidas is screaming in the movie and I'm having like a moment, you know what I mean? So like, that's translated into adulthood now, and for me, it used to be checkers, and I would punch you in the face if I felt obligated to, and that's where I got expelled from high school, was from fighting. And now it's chess, it's strategic, it's thought out, and it's fueled by hatred and anger, and it's the only place, like, I've gotten rid of so much. The small amount that still resides in me, that I think is just fabricated into my existence, is I think Christ-like. And I think, a lot of people, they try to portray Christ and Christianity as just some timid religion that is just fruitful and blessings and unicorns and bread and fish, when their half of the Bible is war, and it's destruction, and it's takeover, and it's respecting the family, respecting the name, respecting the kingdom of God. And so I try to fuel that anger through a holiness, and just bring absolute holy terror and destruction to all who oppose me. And I would be scared to, bring my son up in that, because I feel like without it being controlled, it could have really led me to a dark place and a desire to almost really want to almost conquer the world. You know what I mean? Because I don't have a desire. Like, the money is just a perk that I know that comes with my desires. You know what I mean? But like, for me, it's like, I keep this life so simple, man. Like, I want to be the best at everything. And people are like, oh, you want to be the best at insurance? No, I look at who's the wealthiest every single day, and I want to absolutely destroy Jeff Bezos, Elon Musk, and in a competitive manner that I think every man should appreciate. I can't respect you as a man if you don't desire to do better than me, if you don't desire to beat me, if you don't analyze me within the first few moments, and immediately strategize how you would paralyze and destroy my physical being, my mental, like, and that's how I think men should be. It's like, I'm constantly analyzing and thinking, how would I jump through this Zoom screen and paralyze Peter if he, you know what I mean, needed, you know what I mean? Like, that's just how a man has to operate, I think. So it's like, and for me, I think there's an extreme to it, and I control it, and I bind it, and I try to pray over it, and transmute it into a proper energy, and create some type of chess game out of it. And I'm multiple moves ahead, and I try to be, because I want to go against a worthy opponent, somebody that gives me the opportunity for glory, and glory will always be found on the battleground. And that's why I almost get torn about living long too, because a piece of me desires to have a sword driven through my chest, and go to Valhalla. You know what I mean? So it's like, why would I want to die like some soft little boy in my old age on a deathbed in some, pampered hospital with muffins and, you know what I mean, this weakness, when the cold, dark rain can pour down and hit you on your face as you just slaughtered thousands. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, man. I get torn. It's like, dominated insurance, go to war, and just, you know what I mean? I have no idea, you know what I mean? But I try my best to go to work myself every single day. It's why I have to go to the gym, and like, I'm messed up right now. It's like, this is just too many days of not enough jujitsu with this eye and traveling. So my mind is probably in a darker place than it could. So I got two workouts every single day now until I get back into jujitsu, because my mind will go off like that, and I'll get worried. Like, don't enlist into the Navy SEALs. You know what I mean? Like, you've done good with the jujitsu. My luck, I'd get shot the first day too. You know what I mean? It wouldn't even be cool. Like, it'd be like, no offense, but if you watch the one movie, I think it's American. I don't know if it's American. It's Lone Survivor with Mark Wahlberg as he represents, I want to say Chris Kyle, or the gentleman where they go over there and he gets stuck on the mountain and everything like that. Well, there was a backup SEAL team, and they got taken out before they even landed because the helicopter got shot down. Like, that'd be my luck. Like, I wouldn't even be. I'd be called in ready to go and just annihilate and just destroy everything, and my helicopter gets shot down. So it's like,
You'd make it, bro. You'd have like some type of parachute or something, bro. I believe in you. You'd
there's no glory in today's war because it's so politically controlled, and there's so much intelligence out there right now. People could literally just, you know what I mean? They could just study you. They know everything we buy. They just, hey, look, that Essentia bottle, put cyanide in it. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even a fair war. It's people don't die by swords. They die by rich men now. You know what I mean? So it's like, it wouldn't even be fun.
So with that, talking about movies, talking about war, what would you say were your top 5 most influential movies, and what did you learn from each one of them?
You know, that's a really hard question because I have a rotation of top one, and I'll pull up my list right now. But my favorite movie currently is still King Arthur: Legend of the Sword, and I really just feel like a massive connection with that movie. And it's the guy from, I want to say it's Charlie Hunnam, the guy from Sons of Anarchy, that is the main character. And King Arthur is one of the greatest stories, and the way they portray it in this movie, because there's different, almost like languages, there's like different dialects, where different angles and perspectives on how people will portray King Arthur, but how they portray him is his father was murdered, and I feel like my father was murdered in a sense, where it's like there was a good man inside, and like almost like where my other favorite movie is like Star Wars, especially it's the episode where Anakin transitions into Darth Vader, and I feel like that's like what happened to my dad. Like, Darth Vader, this evil inside of him consumed him and destroyed his Anakin, his good side. And so in King Arthur: Legend of the Sword, his dad's murdered by his brother, so that's how, again, I kind of relate the two between Star Wars, which is, again, like my second favorite movie. And then from there, he's abandoned. He grows up poor, raised by women, so raised by my mom's sister and pretty much grandma. You know what I mean? My pap was there too. We didn't always have the best relationship, but as I go back, there was a lot of valuable lessons in love that he actually did have for me. But I really felt like I was just, there was just women, and I was poor, and life sucked, and I hated everything. And I spent all my time and energy just angry, and he was angry, and I was fighting, and he was fighting, and he was trying to make money, and I was trying to make money, and I was doing things on the streets, and he was doing things on the streets. And then, he found like his calling, and it's like he put his hands on that sword and he came to life. And it's like I put my hands into this life insurance, and I like came to life and found this identity that I never knew existed, but was there all along. And I came back and conquered that demon that was constantly in my mind about me being inferior, or me not living up to the image that my dad had created at a young age of becoming Leonidas, becoming, the greatest Jedi, or becoming the greatest emperor, warrior, because that's all he indoctrinated me with from my conscious reflection for 2 or 3 years, of becoming the greatest general, emperor, man that you can be, and to do it or die trying. And so, when I really started to take off and have that realization, it was probably not until like 3 years in, I started making, when I made my first $1 million at 22 years old, that I was like I really am him. And all praise be to God, but like that like everything that molded me and made me, like I went back and destroyed that demon, and that's exactly what happened. He literally fights the brother, and it's like fighting that evil side, conquering and showing to myself and to my dad, which we don't talk, but like knowing that he knows, like, I'm him. You know what I mean? I did this, and yes, you had a piece. And he says in the movie, he's like, to the demon, he's like, you always ask, what motivated you, and how did you become like this? And it's like, he said, you. And that's exactly like that evil piece of, and we all have an evil side, but that evil piece of my dad, it just motivated and evolved me into becoming, and maybe not even evil, but that that image he created. You know what I mean? That those shoes that I had to fill in my mind. You know what I mean? It was never in regard to what he created, but more so the image he created of, like, I had to become the greatest Spartan that ever lived. And so, I think, filling those shoes, the relation between that movie and all that would be the biggest and only lesson I would say that correlates between that those two there, Star Wars and King Arthur. And then I'd say number 3 would be Troy, which again is another movie I watch with my dad all the time, which is self-explanatory. Be an absolute ruthless killer, take nothing from anybody, and take everything from everybody at the same time. You know what I mean? So, and then the next movie is Ghost in the Darkness. I think that's with Val Kilmer, I want to say. And it was about lions, these ruthless lions in Africa, and we watched that a lot as well. And then Scarface. So, and then you got your Goodfellas, The Irishman, and different things like that. But if you notice my first 3, 4, 5 movies, it's all war. You know what I mean? And it's really thought out, well thought out, historically tied, some type of war, and it's all a piece of me. It's fabricated into my soul, and it's helped create the man that I am today. You know what I mean? I would say movies pretty much raised me in a sense, because that's all I got to hold on to as I was growing up. Because my mom was working all the time.
Yeah. So when was the last time you spoke to your dad?
We tried to rekindle our relationship after you got out of jail when I was 15, 16, probably 3 times. So the last time probably would have been 2 or 3 years ago when I was probably 22, 20, yeah, probably 22, 22, 23.
What was that like?
Cool, you know what I mean? It's cool, and then it's not cool. You know what I mean? It's like bipolar. It's like cool and then not cool. So, it is what it is.
I got you. So with that, what do you think about, fatherhood? Are you excited about one day being a father? Do you think that, something like, more around the like a traditional family may not be something you're even thinking about? Or
Yeah, no, yeah, I would never consider some new age family whatsoever. You know what I mean? I'm disgusted by a lot of people's families, and they're it's you don't even have to call it traditional. You can call it respectful, non-respectful. You know what I mean? So, like, yes, I would want to have a respectful family. No, I would not have some slob, disgusting family whatsoever. I would travel back in time to, like, that Spartan mindset of, we're taking all of you up to the mountain and throwing you off, and I'm starting over. You know what I mean? So it's like, there won't be any, like, disgustingness. You know what I mean? And for lack of better explanation, you do the math and you figure out what that is, because everyone has a moral compass unless you have a mental actual illness. You know what I mean? You understand, morally what's right and what's wrong. So that absolutely, you know what I mean? Respectful family, desire that. Do I desire that now? No. I desire war. I desire competition. I desire pain. You know what I mean? Like, this is good for me. You know what I mean? Like, I feel as if I don't need motivation. I am the motivation. You know what I mean? That's just how I'm wired. I am the battery. I am the energy, infinite resource, infinite energy. Like, my energy is Christ. My energy is God. It flows directly through me. He flows directly through me. So, you know, I wouldn't say, like, there's much motivation there aside from just absolute domination, and I'm on my Napoleon warpath right now. I'm on my Alexander the Great warpath, my Julius, like, I haven't conquered the world yet. And when you study these great emperors, you study these great leaders, there was a decade of conquering. And I pray now, and I notice all of them, they had everything right while they were conquering. So I just want to stay in a conquering stage, because when you leave your conquering stage and you enter your conquered stage, what I've seen from these individuals is when they entered their conquered stage, their morals started to slip, because they were just so consumed and surrounded and saturated with fatness and money and just this laziness of everything they built up, and they deserved that. But does a man truly deserve that? Or does a man deserve war until his death? Right? Because what is this simple, mere world we live in of disgusting material and disgusting emptiness and disgusting weakness? In the kingdom of heaven, this doesn't happen. There's no bruises. There's no weakness. There's no pain, right? I'm invincible. You know what I mean? This is practice. So I think maybe we should adjust from I'm going so hard so I can stop when I'm 30 or 40. I think you set yourself up. Kudos to you for having desire to go hard and actually doing so. But if you're doing it for the ability to hit a finish line, you're going to enter hell. Because the only finish line that God truly created, I believe, is death. So when you stop before death, you now enter the devil's kingdom. And that is a living death with no purpose, with no direction. And it's the worst place for you to be in your life. Drugs enter. Evil women enter if you're a man. Evil men enter if you're a woman. When you cease to have purpose, you cease to exist. People don't die when they give their last breath. They die when they give their last purpose. So it's very simple. You know what I mean? Like, I pray to God every single day, God, please do not allow me to lose my purpose of war. Let me go. And I think that's the only way that I could truly go out and still have that symbolism of a sword or some type of battlefield death is I go until the end. You know what I mean? I'm doing the calls. I'm doing the business to building and development and giving back and putting myself on my toes and risking it all. Right. So
I love
that's
that, bro.
that's the absolute only way I think a man can live.
Let's go. So, you just met Dana White. We're talking about all this war and battle and, you know, combatives. What was it like meeting Dana White? And if you could redo it again, would you do anything different?
I wouldn't do anything differently. I was me. I gave Dana White me. A lot of people give Dana White fanboy. I gave Dana White Tristan Dlabik. I was wearing my Trump shirt, wearing my slides and basketball shorts with my white Nike socks, a cheap Louis chain on. You know what I mean? Just being me. This is me. And you know what I mean? Dana White probably spends a night what I make a year. You know what I mean? It's like I make $1 million a year pretty much the last couple of years, like right on $1 million a year. So it's like, for him to take the time out, give me a 5-10 minute conversation and be genuine and invite me to the power slap, man, is like, you know what I mean? Words can't. That's good. That's the path that I'm on. Is genuine. Go to war. Go to work. The dude works. He works. Trust me, he works. So that's like my vision. That dude's been working. If he's 50 years old, I bet he's been working 35 years, 15 hardcore. You know what I mean? Like, that's the man, or 25 years, whatever the math is. So you just can't be soft, man. You know what I mean? He says it the best. If you have a fraction of like toughness in you in today's soft day and age, you'll just run circles around all the losers, all the weak people, soft men. You can't even call them men, boys. It is what it is.
Hmm. So let's say that, you talk so much about war, and I feel that in my heart too, because I feel so much you've said today I've really connected with, especially how you think that one of your best characteristics is the pain that you've gone through and the way that you handle pain, right? And I think that's the same thing with me. I think that pain and sorrow pushes me, but it's also where I feel most comfortable sometimes. So, but with that, my boy likes to scrap a little bit. I like a good scrap every once in a while. What would you do if Dana White invited you to, do some type of UFC event? So, and then here's my next question. You're doing so much jujitsu. Or do you ever plan on making any type of jump to doing more MMA or practicing
Yes.
in some of that?
Yeah. Pretty much. Pretty much when I start making consistently 100,000 a week. Right now, I average about probably 20, 30 grand a week in gross income. So when I triple that, definitely going to dive more into all around striking as well. Touch up on the striking. I'm already a natural striker, decent striker. Got a lot of fighting experience. I got a lot of mat time. So I'm very confident in my at least defend myself abilities. I know there's ultimate levels to it. Trust me, I get annihilated at jiu-jitsu. You know what I mean? We've got a phenomenal gym, 10th Planet Lombard. Shout out Omar. Shout out Alex Seaver as well, phenomenal jiu-jitsu instructor. So between those two guys, I feel really good on my ground game. But I got a decent striking ability as well. But yeah, I'll definitely be in some striking within the next year. You know what I mean? I say I'll probably be making 100,000 a week consistently within the next year, 12 months. So 26 years old, worst case.
That's what's up, man. So, we were talking so much about, how people are soft and how it's really hard to, even work with someone that has that kind of that mentality where they're giving up or they're giving up on themselves. And, you know, and then, so, as a father to me, it's like, man, how do I help raise my children to be tough, right? And I love that question. I don't know who asked it. I heard it recently. I believe it may have been, not sure, but with that, what would you do? How would you make
You
your
know,
son
I
tough?
think it's very simple. You know what I mean? So I would just simply ask myself, how was I made tough? And there was no one there to help me when things got hard. Life will provide hard opportunities. Now, tough and save are completely two different things. If you're dying, I will save you. If you're hurting, I will coach you through the hurt. You know what I mean? So, like, if I was dying, my dad was still a good dad. Like, he would have saved me. You know what I mean? So I don't think there was many positions I put myself in that I was dying. But if I was hurting, he coached me through it. You know what I mean? Sometimes, most of the time, aggressively, but sometimes just very simple instructions. Keep going, keep pushing yourself, keep going forward, right? You know what I mean? And diagnosing the issue. I remember losing a wrestling match and him asking me, and I'm crying, and he's like, first off, stop crying before I make you cry more. And then second off, you know what I mean? Second off, was it a strength issue or a skill issue? And I was like, I believe it was a strength issue. And so we just, I'm 8 years old. We just start lifting weights every night. So it's like very simple. You know what I mean? So it's like, if you're hurting, I will coach you through it. But if you're dying, I will save you as my son, right? So let your sons hurt. They need the hurt. The pain molds them. And it also prevents them from getting murdered. You know what I mean? A lot of young boys that get sheltered, they go out into the world and then they meet a real man and they meet a real killer, a real destroyer, and they say something smart and then they end up eating a bowl of their teeth. You know what I mean? So it's like, you said something smart to the wrong guy today, bro. You know what I mean? Like, this ain't Legoland. This ain't Minecraft, you know? So, like, now you got to eat your teeth, bro. So, it is what it is, man. You know what I mean? It's like, I've been punched enough in the mouth to assess and analyze situations when I can speak up and when I can't. That's why I respect everybody. You know what I mean? People that don't respect people are people that haven't been punched in the mouth. You know what I mean? You have a certain level of respect when you get a good rock in the mouth, dude. You know what I mean? Someone rocks you, you know what I mean? Regardless, bro. Like, all right, I have to assess the situation.
What do you think about how about training and developing your agents, right? So, how do you help them get tough so they can
Yeah,
get through some of the harder adversities that they go through, in their career to be as successful as they are
I
now?
use my soft control tone. I use genuine relationship building, and I use vision casting and allowing them to see, here's how far I've come. Look at everything I've been through. Are you willing to go through those things? And they're 90% of the time they verbally agree, and then 50% of the time their actions agree. And I spend my time with the people where their actions agree. Everybody's words say yes, they're cool with it. But I just spend my time with the individuals that agree with their actions and they keep showing up, making the dials, doing the work, and going through the pain because I know they truly mean it. And so it's very simple. There's no specific sayings or anything. It's just being there for people, letting them know there is a light, and I shine that light for them. There's a light at the end of the tunnel. You can keep going or you can quit. The choice is yours. Ring the bell. Even Navy SEALs ring the bell. So if you want to ring the bell, ring the bell. That's on you. You'll always have a friend in me, but you won't always have a brother in me. You'll have to go to war with me to be my brother. So that's what it is. Very simple.
So you're about to go to an owners, SGA owners
Yeah.
meeting in, was it Dallas?
Yeah.
In Dallas, and you're going to be giving a panel, right? So what's it like? What's it like being the youngest owner ever in Globe Life, right? And what's it like to give panels to men and women much older than you that have been in this industry much longer than you, but still are able, to look up to you? You ever get
No.
nervous or anything like
No,
that?
I don't get nervous. I've never gotten
What's that
nervous.
like?
I got nervous in the beginning. Not even speaking as an owner ever. I've gotten to speak a few times. I've never gotten nervous as an owner. In the very beginning, speaking in general, when I was 19, 20 years old, I was nervous first couple of times, and then I realized I was being weak, and then I deserved this because I outwork everybody, and I outworked everybody then. And I say that humbly. I say that with Jesus in my soul, in my heart, lovingly and compassionately with everyone, just to let you know you can work harder. You're not working hard yet. You haven't worked hard. You haven't put in the work. But no, I'm not nervous. I'm angry and I'm annoyed because I'm not the richest person in the room. I'm not the most successful person in the room. These are my brothers and sisters, but they're my competition as well. And until I'm number one in that room, I almost don't want to be in the room. You know what I mean? Like, why do I want to be here? So like, People get around and they start parading and dancing and having a jolly old time, and let's get together and have pie and share ideas. And it's like, I'm down, you know what I mean? Share ideas, and I like pie, but like, I want to kill, dog. Like, I'm trying to be the richest here. I'm trying to beat everybody right now. I'm not trying to wait until I'm 40. I want to beat everybody right now, right here, right now. You know what I mean? So like, my mind is racing, my heart's racing, my body's racing every single second. How can we pass all these cats up right now? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? Right now. I'm not worried about speaking and worrying about who thinks they're impressed by me or not. Like, I don't care. I'm trying to beat you, dog. Get impressed with that.
Can you give us a little snippet of maybe what you're going to be speaking on at the panel, or do you not know yet?
I'm talking on media, and I'm going to keep it simple. There, here, anywhere, because that's everything's simple. 99% of the time, it's never a skill set issue. People think they have a book or there's something they're missing, some type of multiple variables. It's a work issue. You're just not doing enough. You know what I mean? So same with the media. My advice to all you right now, like I'm going to tell everybody at this owner event, is like, you aren't doing enough. That's what's wrong. And if they want to ask questions, cool.
Love it. Love it, bro.
Did you not hear me the first time? You aren't doing enough. How many videos are you doing? I'm doing 2 a week. Who's doing them? Some random person I hired in my office. Next question. You know what I mean? Like, you're dumb. I'm not going to work with dumb people. You got happy making $500,000 a year. Somebody spent that today on the blackjack table. Next question.
Back to your amazing insurance career. Let's talk about that. Talk to me about the day you came into the company. Talk to me about the biggest adversities you face, the biggest accomplishments that you've achieved.
Hey, man, it's
the
a lot.
awards that you were recognized with. And
all right, so the day I came into the company, I was 18 years old, cornrows, 140 pounds, 2 months out of high school, broke as a joke, working at UPS. Didn't know what I was doing in my life, man. And you know what I mean? Come in the office, they got Maseratis, there's money everywhere. I see posters of Simon. I'm like, I have no idea what this place is, but I want hired. It seems legit. It seems pretty legit. There's at least a building. You know what I mean? There seems like there's money. I've never seen a Maserati in person. Ryan Ohm takes me for a ride in his Maserati, Gran Turismo, and going 100 miles an hour on a back road. I'm like, please hire me, dude. I'll do whatever. I get hired, and rest is history, man. I made 114 grand and 19 years old. My first full year in the insurance industry. I was the number one agent and just crushed it. Rest is history. That was a big accomplishment as well. Biggest adversity was, I kept falling asleep behind the wheel. I wasn't sleeping. My first 2 years, honestly, my first 4 years, I bet I averaged maybe 4 hours of sleep a night, a day. You know what I mean? Probably average first 4 years, because the first 2 years was just work, and then the second 2 years was work and a girlfriend. You know what I mean? So I couldn't see. I was working all day, so I'd see my girl at night, hang out with her. 4 years of no sleep. So the last 2 years, I've been probably sleeping 7 hours a night, 7 hours a day at least average. I bet it's probably six or seven. So I feel solid there.
Let's talk about getting promoted to an owner, the youngest owner in Globe Life. What was it like? What was that day like?
The day was weird. I'm in Nebraska, and I didn't know what all was going on. I heard there was talks of ownership, and I knew I wasn't going to be involved, and so I get a random call from Simon, and he's like, hey, you guys are crushing it. There's a great opportunity. I was like, hey, man, I'll do what I've always done. Whatever you tell me to do. He's like, all right, well, I'm going to have you pack your bags. You're going to Chicago. And that's how it happened, So that's just how I am. Simon changed my life, and, for the rest of my life, I'm always going to be, whatever you say, bro, I'm down to do it. You know what I mean? If we want to go to war, let's go to war.
What do you think would be your 5 tips to, someone that's either in insurance, just getting in insurance, or maybe they've been an agent for a year or two, for them to be able to get to a high leadership position where they could get opportunities like that?
Yeah, I think it's really simple. Again, everything's simple. People just like to overcomplicate because they're fishing for some type of shortcut. So I don't even think there'd be 5, but I definitely think number 1 would just be doing the work, and don't overcomplicate it. People reach out and be like, can you please run a workshop? I'm like, stop. You're being weak right now. You don't need a workshop. You need to get back on the phones and get more presentations. You need to find a way Text mom, dad, everybody in the whole world and ask them for referrals. Ask all your leads for referrals. Go back through your leads and don't stop ever. You know what I mean? Just keep going. Keep shooting shots until you get your money up. Scale your team. Teach them to do the same thing. Rinse and repeat. That's all. You know what I mean? And it's all work. Now, prior to the work and post work, I would develop your mind, your body, your soul. Like, don't turn into a slob. Why? Because you want to have life. The longer you live, the more you can accomplish. The better you're going to be able to service your people by having a good physical health, right? In addition to that, it'll tie into your mental health. Your hygiene will tie into your mental health. Like just all of these things, just keeping yourself clean and healthy. Your body, your soul, your spirit, praying over yourself and meditating, whatever you believe in. That way you're emotionally stable and ready and flexible for the life that you're about to live and endure. Poor or rich, it doesn't matter. It's going to hit you with adversity. So you need to be flexible and ready to perceive life from different angles. That way you can, again, make those adjustments, adaptations, and continue to bounce around and win, right? And lastly would just be your mind. I think, I've probably read like a book a week for the last 6 years on average. So, if you're not reading an insane amount, I think you're going to get passed up by the individuals that are reading. My speaking ability, my intelligence, my wisdom, my knowledge, everything has been drastically improved from simply just getting some reading in every single day.
Got you. As a leader, you need to lead, right? And you're calculated and measured by, how well you lead by, by the let's say the success of the individuals you lead, right? So let's talk a little bit about those individuals. Who are some of the top, let's say, 3 to 5 individuals that you have the most pride that you were able to coach and lead them to their success? And what kind of success were they able to achieve under you?
Man, I think number one would be Rob Jackson, most loyal, been with me since day one. It'd be close between him and like him, Sam, and John Rent. Those three, all of them are so special to me, like brothers to me. I would die for them. You know what I mean? And I've had just as much. If I've had a massive impact in their lives, they've 10x that for what they've done for me. You know what I mean? Even to this day, you know what I mean. So I couldn't even return the favor to them and everything they've done for me. So those three are probably like number one up there, And there's so many people that are on that list. You know what I mean? I could just go over. It's hard to do a five, but I'd probably go over more of like a seniority type of deal before anything. So I'd look at like Connor White and Dylan Jackson. They've been with me really long. There's people that don't work here anymore that I think about a lot too, like just all the guys in Nebraska. You know what I mean? Whether they do work here, they don't work here anymore. They just don't work directly with me. I think about every guy in Nebraska, all the guys and ladies from Nebraska, but still with me. I would say directly with me. I'd say from Connor and Dylan, I'd probably say Justin and Dave have worked their way up to a really close spot into my heart as well. And there's Nate, Brandon, Kevin. There's a lot of guys that are. There's so many. You know what I mean? Everybody in my company that pretty much makes more than like $100,000 a year, or is like on pace to do so, it's probably really close to me because they're bleeding and they're sweating and they're crying for this life. You know what I mean? And so those people that you bleed with, that you sweat with, that you cry with, that have done what you did or are doing what you're doing, there's just a special place, and you like almost have like an instant brotherhood in my mind. You know what I mean? So and that's another thing about King Arthur and why it's my favorite movie is like there's not an I don't have like a seating arrangement or like some type of arrangement in my mind of like who's better than who. If you pay attention to King Arthur, when they sit down at their table to break bread and to go over war and to go over celebration or anything, look up the table and tell me what it looks like. Show me what King Arthur's table looks like. It's a round table. That's all. Yes. So that's the type of table that I'll always be at as a leader. Is I'm not better than you, but I'm also not worse than you. It's equal. We sit at this table together. We bleed at this table together. We're all the same. I want to walk into the room and nobody knows who the king is. Every single one of us is absolute killers, absolute classy men, classy women, all respected, all well spoken, all well taken care of, all well fighters. Every single one of us well rounded in every aspect of our lives.
You got a really special group that you're building right now, and you guys are doing a lot of special things. Talk to me a little bit about How big is your organization? How many people do you have writing business? How much business are you guys writing? And what are your goals to finish off this year?
We got about 100 people writing business right now. We're doing about $400,000 a month in business, and we'll probably do about $4.5–5 million of production this year. And within the next 12 months, we're going to be doing $20 million of business through a fiscal year. So we will 4x, 5x very easily. You know what I mean? Like that won't be hard. And we'll probably 4 and 5x again over the next 12, 24 months. We'll be doing $100 million by the time I'm 30. I really believe that. Yeah, I really believe that. And then doing $1 billion, I believe we'll be doing $1 billion of sales. I believe that by the time I'm probably 35, $40 billion. So, and then I will by that time probably have made, worst case, probably like a couple hundred people, millionaires, have helped, influenced, provided opportunity, a couple hundred people.
How important are goals and visions for you, bro?
They're not as important as they used to be, man. I got one goal, really. You know what I mean? Just absolute domination until death, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not on here just like, it's not like a script or something. Like, it just sounds good. Like, I'm trying to dominate in every area, dominate in regard to my relationship with Christ, dominate with my relationship with my mom, dominate with relationship with everybody in my life, my business, everything. Dominate, bro. Like, I'm trying to, like, there's no opportunity for you not to just go out and do absolutely everything you can to be number one. Destroy everybody, destroy everything.
So you're saying you guys are doing about $400,000 in production a month. How much of that do you make in income? And then talk to me a little bit about where are your renewals at right now?
It's all gross. You know what I mean? And the renewals it's pretty simple to calculate, but at the same time, it's hard in regard to how it all works out. But the income's probably, man, I'd say what I tell you, average was like 30. So probably about 120 a month gross. Right now, and then the renewals, they owe me probably 30. I think probably 30 would probably be a safe number. But there's a lot of hoops to jump through to get them to release. I still got to be an SGA, I think, for 2 more years. I think I'm 3 years in, so I think you got to be an SGA for 5 years or something. So my 5th year, I think I'd be eligible.
It's awesome, man. So tell us a little bit more about renewals, just for maybe someone that's not necessarily in the insurance industry yet.
Yeah, every policy sold, it's just passive income. So every policy sold or the business sells, you get a percentage of that policy in revenue for the rest of the life of the policy. And the policy typically stays on 10 or 15 years. So it's a 10 or 15 year paycheck every single month. And you do the job once.
You talked a lot about your dad, but there's a couple other people I wanted to talk about. Tell me about, the role that your mom had in developing you.
Yeah, she had the whole role. You know what I mean? So there was a very small amount that my dad was there, and then most of the time was my mom, and she was completely opposite. It was very compassionate, very loving, very graceful, very church oriented. You know what I mean? That's where my relationship with Christ started, was through her and her father and getting us into church. And then from there, I think the only other thing with her that probably really gave me a backbone was whatever you start, you finish, so it doesn't necessarily matter the results that are being produced. She always advocated for greatness, but the biggest thing she pushed was, if you start something, you're going to finish it. Like, she got me into the Boy Scouts. I did not even get into it. This is where she was messed up, because she would put me in stuff and still apply the if you start, you finish. I didn't even start this. You started this. You know what I mean? Because she's like, you don't have a man in your life. Got me into Boy Scouts at like 13 years old. I remember somebody made fun of me for it when I was like, I had to punch him in the face. So it's like, you know what I mean? So it's like, there was a couple kids, you know what I mean, that tried to say something, and I just had to, you know what I mean, put them down. But, she made me finish, though. She stayed true to her word. And I ended up getting my Eagle Scout, which everyone laughs at, but I ended up becoming an Eagle Scout. So I'm, a master knot tire or something like that. But yeah, man, that was a big thing from her, is whatever you start, you finish, and you give your best at everything, and you keep Jesus first. And, I don't know, man. She just worked so hard and went so hard. Every piece of me is motivated and inspired to just give her the best life forever. You know what I mean? Just do everything I can right now to give her the best life now. You know what I mean? A lot of people are like, I can't wait to retire my mom, but then like their work ethic says like they're cool with like retiring her in 20 years. You know what I mean? I'm trying to do it in 20 minutes. So it's like, like, you know what I mean? So, and I give her a couple bands a month right now, but it's not enough, man. It's not enough. So, the next goal is within the next 6 months to a year, get a like massive house and like start to build like a compound or a kingdom. You know what I mean? Where it's like have my mom there so she can just like take care of the house, run a certain. I'm gonna have her kind of like handle like the traveling department and the paperwork side of like my business, kind of like an assistant a role. You know what I mean? But I've lost some money through assistance, so I want to like kind of delegate that. I'll keep her active and busy the rest of her life so she stays, cognizant and everything like that. But I'll also have her close so I can spend the rest of my life with her. And, you know what I mean? Just a big house for her or something. You know what I mean? I don't have to be too big, but just, keep the family close and ready to go. And, yeah, that's the immediate goal for mom. And that's her role as well. You know what I mean? In my life from raising me to now, you know what I mean? She's always been an orchestrator and made things happen. Really good at putting things together.
Love that, bro. Cristiano Ronaldo, he had a quote where he said that his mom was his greatest gift and his greatest refuge, right? And I feel the same about my mom, right? But I wasn't raised by a single mom, so I can only imagine how much more powerful that is for him and you. So with that, um, you know, life's not forever, right? And I've recently lost a parent, and I think about losing my mom all the time and what it'll feel like. What do you think? It'll feel like when you lose your mom. What do you think your mindset will
Yeah.
be?
Well, one, I'm disgusted by any man that doesn't consider. If one, I guess if you've never considered that, if you do consider that and you decide to sleep in, you disgust me. You know what I mean? So it's like if you've taken the minute, all it takes is a minute to just sit there, close your eyes, and imagine your mother passing away, and know that day is inevitable and your day is inevitable, and you still sleep in and you still slack off and you still take shortcuts and you still don't work out and you still eat muffins and you still like all of that weakness you allow to continue to exist into your life despite knowing that your mother is her days are numbered far less than yours are, and you're still being soft. You have no place in this world. It's disgusting to me.
Absolutely, bro. I think something happened to your iPad.
Yeah, I'm looking at it now. I'm trying to figure it out. I was reading it. I didn't know I got hacked or something.
No, I love that. I love that, bro. So, you know, let's talk a little bit about your sister. I know you work with your sister, very close with her. It almost,
Yes.
the loving relationship you have with her is, it's almost like, one of the closest ones I've seen with siblings, and I love that so much for you because you can see how loyal and how much care you have for her.
Yeah.
What role do you think she's had in your development and you?
Yeah, I mean, she's had a massive role. She always jokes, and she's like, the agency didn't start to pop until I came. So, I always give her that. I'm like, she's had a massive role, saved me a lot of money, made me a lot of money, and just an absolute supporter, partner. You know what I mean? I look at her as an equal, if not better. I'm always learning from her, inspired by her to do better, speak better, move better, operate better, be stronger. You know what I mean? So her inspiration, motivation, her value, her intelligence, everything she brings to the table, it's more than worth, her weight in gold multiple times over. So
Yeah, love that, bro. Family man, I love that. Keeping the family tight, keeping the family safe, and making the family prosper. Can't ask more than that. So, Tristan, we had a great conversation today. Um, you know, Insurance is going great for you, but what do you think? You ever think about what might life be like after insurance, or do you think you're always just going to be in the deal?
well, my mindset right now immediately is destroy everybody, and I think I'll parallel that with media, which doesn't require you to quit anything or do anything different, and I'm already doing that. So I don't see myself doing anything differently. You know what I mean? So it's like see myself making trillions through insurance and media, and with them parallel together, I that's pretty much the vision right now. I don't really have desires. I love insurance. I love this company. I love working with our company. I love working, as a franchise owner, and I love media as well. So They don't take away from one another. They benefit one another. Media benefits everything. So, I think you're a fool if you're not utilizing media. Like if you're just watching this, one of your 6 viewers, and you're not engaged, you know what I mean, and making your own media, you're being foolish. You know what I mean? And it's like you have the education now. So any lack of implementation is true insanity. It's true foolishness, and it's disgusting. You should completely eradicate that type of operation from your life.
Tell the audience some of the things that you got going on right now. Tell them where they can check you out. Some things that you might be excited about, and let's close out.
Listen, just so you guys don't get thrown off and go all over the place. One of the 6 of you, just go to my Instagram and you'll be able to find everything you want from there. Windy City Tristan's my Instagram. You'll be able to check out all the different things that I do from the podcast and everything like that. You'll figure it out. One place, one instruction. That's all you need.
Yo, man, I had so much fun talking with you today, bro, like I always do. We're definitely going to have a lot more of these, as you are one of the biggest icons in the insurance industry, especially, the ones that, we're really connected in. So, with that, brother, thank you so much for joining us on Insurance Icons today, presented by All Caps Media. And I'm going to talk to you real soon, bro.